Hello everybody, I hope you're very well wherever you are. I'm here to read you the last chapter of Molly Moon's incredible book of hypnotism. There's a bit of a surprise in it. My name's Georgia Byng, I wrote the book, and for you to look at today is something that I mentioned I might bring back together because I think they were up separately. This dog and this girl with a triangle head, because I thought they look great together. It looks like Molly and Petula a bit. Yes, they were made by an artist, Lynn Chadwick. And also for you to look at is Hypnotism, an Ancient Art Explained by Dr. H. Logan. This is the book that Molly finds that teaches her everything, and it's in this chapter. So here we go, we're going to read chapter 39. That night, Molly and Rocky finally went to bed at 2 a.m. At 4 o'clock in the morning, Molly woke up. The full December moon was shining through the window, its beams drenching Molly's bed. Molly felt strange. Her hands began to sweat, and then, as if something was calling her, she got out of bed, put on her dressing gown and slippers, and took the leather-bound hypnotism book from under the mattress. As if in a dream, Molly found herself leaving the bedroom, descending the staircase, collecting a coat, and stepping out into the frosty night. The moon lit the way as she opened the orphanage gates, trod the icy road that led down the hill, and walked around the village towards Briarsville town. Molly felt drawn, pulled, and she didn't mind the cold, nor did she feel frightened. She simply felt she had to do something, although what exactly, she didn't know. She found herself stopping finally at Briarsville Library. She walked up its stone steps, past its old stone lions, and into the library lobby. Across the way in the reading room, she could see a light on. Molly knew she had to go there. She walked to the door and pushed. There, sitting behind her desk, was the librarian. "Ah," she said, looking up, smiling. "So, you're back." And looking out of the window at the full moon, she added, "And perfectly punctually." When she said that, Molly suddenly emerged from her dreamlike state. She felt as if she'd just woken up from a very good sleep. Her head was clear, and everything around her looked extra bright. There she was, in her dressing gown, coat and slippers, in the library reading room, with the hypnotism book under her arm. In a daze, she offered it up to the librarian. "Thank you, Molly. I hope it helped you," said the librarian, taking off her spectacles. Molly began to find her bearings. She looked at the librarian quizzically, wondering how she knew her name. Then she realised that the librarian must have seen her name scores of times when she'd taken out books, but how did she know she was coming? Molly asked suspiciously, "What did you mean when you said that I'd come back perfectly punctually? I can't remember making any arrangements with you." She thought back to how she'd first stolen the hypnotism book from the library. Had the librarian seen her? She felt embarrassed that she'd been caught red-handed. She'd wanted to put the hypnotism book back quietly to avoid all these feelings, but Then she thought again. She was sure she'd smuggled the book away when the librarian wasn't looking. Yes, no one had seen Molly take it. So how did the woman know? Did they have cameras in the library? Suddenly, Molly felt very muddled. The librarian smiled. "Oh, Molly, don't worry. Come and sit over here." Molly sat down at the desk in front of the librarian, and for the first time, Molly looked at her properly. She was a studious-looking woman, but now that she had taken off her spectacles, Molly saw she wasn't as old as she'd seemed before. She wore her hair in an old-fashioned bun, and some of it was going grey, but her face didn't match it. Her face was young and smooth, and as she smiled, her eyes lit up with kindness. "You, Molly, probably thought I never noticed you, since I always had my nose stuck in a book or a file. But I did notice you. I noticed how you'd come in here so lonely and cold and sit by the radiators. I had my eye on you for ages, and I felt sorry for you. I wanted to help you. I had a feeling that you would learn something, well, a lot really, from the hypnotism book. So, on that afternoon, when you came in here, all wet and bedraggled, I hypnotised you to find it. Do you remember waking up after a sleep on the floor?" Molly nodded, her face frowning in disbelief. "Well, that sleep was brought on by me. I hypnotised you when I said hello to you. And while you thought you were just sleeping, I, in fact, was suggesting things to you. I hypnotised you to find the book. I thought that 3 weeks with it would be the right amount of time for you to have an adventure. So I asked you to bring it back on the night of the December full moon." "Perfectly punctually," Molly said. "That was the phrase I said would wake you up from your full moon walk. You weren't hypnotised to do anything else, by the way. Everything else that happened to you was your own adventure." "Normally I'm so late for everything," said Molly, although her next thought was that actually she hadn't been late for anything for weeks. "But how come Knockman knew about the book?" asked Molly, trying to think straight. "Oh, him! That liar! Well, a few days before, he called from the States saying that he needed the book for important research work. He said he was a professor and that having the book for a while would help him enormously. He was very persuasive. I said he could borrow it. But then he called back rather sneakily on my day off, and he spoke to one of the other librarians. He persuaded her to sell it to him. He sent the money in the express post, and when I came back the next day, she told me that he was actually coming over. At that point, I smelt a rat. And when I made my inquiries, I found that a Professor Knockman didn't exist at the Chicago Museum. Not in any department. Before he'd set foot in this country, well, I knew he was a fraud, and also by then, I'd been thinking about you. I wanted to lend it to you." The librarian switched off the light on her desk. "I'm sorry to have got you out of bed. It's ever so late, and I'm tired too. I've got to go home, and so have you." Molly was just starting to wake up, and questions were filling her head. I'm not dreaming, am I?" she asked. "No," laughed the librarian, "but you should be. You should be in bed, fast asleep." "I'm not tired anymore." "But I am. I really have to get home. I would love to talk to you properly, though. So, as soon as you've got a moment, and if you feel like it, let's meet up for tea." You can tell me some of the adventures you've had, and I'll tell you some of mine. You've had adventures using hypnotism too? Of course. Everyone who finds that they have the gift has adventures. I rarely use my skills now, though. I use them sometimes just to help people. I find that that is best. Like you helped me. Did I? I'm so glad. For a moment, Molly was quiet as she thought of how much she'd changed over the last few weeks. She might still be unhappy if it weren't for the librarian. She'd learned so much because of her. Thank you, she said very gratefully. I'm sorry, I don't even know your name. It's Lucy Logan, said the kind-faced woman. Like the doctor, Molly gasped. Like the Dr. Logan who wrote the book. He was my great-grandfather, Lucy Logan replied, smiling again. But look, you've had enough surprises for tonight. You're going to find it difficult to get back to sleep. And I ought to lock up, so let's both go now. And Molly, you really are more than welcome to come back and visit whenever you like. And I'll tell you all about my great-grandfather, and we can talk about hypnotism. All right? Molly nodded and got up from the table. As she left the library, Lucy Logan waved. And happy Christmas, Molly, if I don't see you before then. Happy Christmas, said Molly, dizzy from the night's revelations. Molly walked back home under the December moon. Every so often she shook her head as she thought of an episode in the last few weeks, reliving exciting or scary moments and seeing how chance had been on her side. She marvelled at how things had unfolded. As she padded up the country road, thick, soft snowflakes began to fall, and the ground underfoot became whiter and gently crunchy. Trees above the hedgerow by the road seemed to beckon Molly onwards. Molly saw the Briarsville billboard lit up in the distance. The cube people in the swimming costumes there looked as though their shiny teeth would be chattering now. And Molly thought how funny it was that only 3 weeks ago she'd thought these people were wonderful and she'd longed to be like them. Now she couldn't care less about the cube life. She had her own life to live, and it was far more interesting and meaningful to her than theirs. Snow filled the air, swirling around Molly, muffling noises so that her walk was extra quiet and private. She felt truly excited about her life for the first time ever. She liked being Molly Moon, even though she wasn't perfect. The hypnotism book had taught her that she had the power to learn anything, as long as she tried. 6 months ago, if someone had told her she could be a great hypnotist, she wouldn't have believed them because she believed she was rotten at everything. Molly couldn't wait to try all sorts of other things now. One sport she'd decided to take up was cross-country running, just to see if she could get better at it. And Molly had made up her mind to really learn how to tap dance. Not to become a hugely famous tap dancer, but just to become good enough to really enjoy it. Molly didn't care about fame now either. She just wanted to enjoy her life and help other people enjoy theirs. Now, There were only 5 days to go until Christmas now. Molly had been so busy, she'd clean forgotten. She smiled. This was going to be the best Christmas ever. Molly breathed in the fresh, cold night air and grinned at the still sleeping countryside. Tonight, life was almost too exciting. What had she thought when she'd first found the Hypnotism book? That the possibilities it could bring were endless. Tonight, Molly felt that it was certainly true about her life. From the top of her head to the tips of her toes, life felt completely magical. And once again, Molly thought how happy she was to be ordinary, plain old Molly Moon. Ahead, the road shone like a silver ribbon in the moonlight all the way to Happiness House. "3,000 miles away, 4,000 feet up in the sky, over the Italian Alps, a plane was doing the loop. In its cockpit sat 2 women, one muscly, the other scrawny. The pilot had a mad glint in her eye and no teeth. Her teeth were swinging below her chin on a string like a pendant. The strong woman beside her was wearing a t-shirt that had the words, 'You better love Italy or else,' written across the front of it. As the plane looped the loop again, the bruiser got up. 'Fancy you pasta molto bene, Agnes?' 'Yes. But look, Edna, not too spicy. I mean it this time, Edna. Not too spicy.' And that is the end of Molly Moon's incredible book of Hypnotism. There you go. That's the end of the book. I hope you've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed reading it to you. It's nice to reread something that you wrote a long time ago. Now, what next? Well, if you've enjoyed this, I've asked you before to tell your friends about it and press the like button and the subscribe button. The subscribe button is quite important because if you do want to see other things that I'm going to do, they will be on this channel. And what am I thinking of doing? I'm thinking of maybe reading Molly Moon Stops the World, which is the next Molly Moon book. I'm thinking of putting together this book, Hypnotism, an Ancient Art Explained, and then publishing it and maybe reading it to you. I'm thinking of putting some sort of writing ideas and things like that online to inspire you, to get you writing too, or drawing. I'm thinking of doing lots of things and I don't know quite yet. So if you want to know about them, keep subscribed and have a look every so often. The other thing you could do is if you have any ideas of what you would like me to do, you could go to mollymoonsworld.com. That's mollymoonsworld.com, which is a website that I've got, which is all about Molly Moon. You'll see there are lots of pictures that people have painted and drawn over the years of Molly Moon and Petula and people at the orphanage, and lots of illustrations. It's really amazing how many people have illustrated parts of the book and sent these pictures to the site. And you can do that, or you could send pictures, or you can send me your suggestions for what I should do, what you would like to see next. So do that if you feel like it, if you've got enough time. I know that time runs out very fast every day. That's why the next book is called Molly Moon Stops the World. That was the idea for it, actually. One day I thought, there's just not enough time in the day. I wish I could stop time. And then I thought, maybe Molly learns how to stop time. There's a clue. That's what happens in the next book. A bit of it. There's a bit of it. So the last thing before I go is, I hope you've enjoyed all the art that I've shown through the book, the different pieces of art that I've put up. Maybe some of you are artists. Maybe some of you have friends who are artists, like I do. I have loads of friends who are artists, and I love having their things, and around the house it reminds me of them. So if you have friends who are artists, maybe you could ask them to do you a picture so you could have it in your bedroom or your house. If you're an artist, maybe you could do pictures for other people. People love having art of their friends to hang up, I think. I've really enjoyed all the art being here for you to look at. So everybody, I think that's about it for now. I will see you again if you come back to the website, and until then, keep happy, and if you're going to do any hypnotism, be kind and happy hypnotizing. Bye.